Welcome to Resilient Conversations. I'm Lucretia, your host and founder of Resilient Visions. Are you ready for intentional, thought-provoking conversations? You know, the kind that you grow from. The kind of conversations where you leave empowered, encouraged, and elevated. If you're thinking yes, guess what? You're in the right spot. The black man is resilient. See, I know this for a fact. He radiates like gold, all pure and natural, dense yet adaptable. He's malleable and he's noble. His viability simply can't be quantified. See, the black man exudes power, confidence, ambition, and he has a hell of a stride. The black man has the strength of a mountain because, see, he's been to the valley side. The black man is impeccable. He supersedes all limits placed on thee. The black man is loyal and will always prevail. The black man is intentional and equipped with integrity. The black man empowers everyone around him, including me. The black man navigates in a country built by his forefathers, yet he still battles to rise. The black man is triumphant over people and systems, anticipating his demise. The black man is resilient, and that's a fact. The black man should know that I have his back. Hey y'all, it's Men Talk Monday. We have a new guest today, and his name is Christopher Moses. He's going to come on and talk to us about adversity and how he surpassed his adversity and was able to be resilient in spite of his situation. Let's get right into it. Chris, why don't you tell us what your definition of resilient is and how it showed up in your life?
To me, being resilient means basically just to bounce back from difficult obstacles. You know what I'm saying? Difficult situations or tragedies or something like that. You know, to that effect. Stuff people go through on a normal day-to-day basis, you know, a lot more difficult than others. They put a lot of people in difficult situations, you know, to where they might think they had never bounced back. And majority of the time, you know, if you don't have the correct mind frame or actually to be resilient, you won't be able to bounce back from it.
Do you think our people as a culture are taught to be resilient or forced to be resilient?
I actually think it's a mixture of both. You know, what our people have been through, through slavery and basically being doubted and being, frowned upon and, being, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. But, I think it's a mixture of both, like us as parents, we teach our kids, to be resilient, like you're going to be doubted, go and look at you basically by the color of your skin and tell you, hey, or they're not going to tell you directly, but, just by the looks they give you or, they're going to doubt you, so you tell your kids going into school, hey, these teachers going to doubt you. Go in there and prove them wrong. You know what I'm saying? But like I was saying for slavery, people being slaves, and then, their let's say, our ancestors, had to go through that. Then our parents, had to go through it in so many ways, but they were able to bounce back from that. I guess what I can say to Harriet Tubman, matter of fact, perfect example. She was very, very resilient. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. About the Underground Railroad. Yeah, Underground Railroad. So yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely. I know what you're saying. I agree because I think that slavery was a large contributing factor to our resilience because our ancestors were in a foreign land in a situation to where they had to make the best of it or it would cost them their life, and oftentimes it still cost them their life. So that was definitely a huge contributing factor for our resilience. So here lately, I oftentimes reflect back over my life and remember moments where adversity arose, and I go back and I look at it and I'm like, wow, you were actually resilient at that time, and you didn't even really know it, recognize it, or it just completely was I was completely unaware of it. Um, as I look back, one of my first lessons of resilience was nothing that it affected me, but it wasn't a direct hindrance of mine. It was when my grandfather got sick, and my grandfather was the person who was there for everybody. He was actually my great grandfather. So when he got sick and we had to take care of him at home, and I was how old was I? Maybe like 12 or 13. Yeah, going in the ninth grade, because he passed away in December of ninth grade. So we had to take care of him at home, and I ain't have time to think about, oh, you just a kid, oh, you just this. You got to get up. That's somebody I loved. That's somebody I cared about. And I seen that he was on tough times, and that cancer was made him completely. I mean, that's just a horrible way to see somebody go through anything. It's cancer. We all know what cancer is. So I was in rotation. I wouldn't know. I wasn't outside with my friends playing. I was in there giving my great grandfather a bed bath. In there talking to him about whatever, because this was the man that was so instrumental into my life to where I couldn't leave his side when he was down. So that was my first indirect but direct. It was direct to me because of the emotional connection that I had with him. So of course in that point, but it was indirect because it wasn't physically to me. That's why I say that. So that was my first experience of resilience off the top of my head. Chris, when would you, if you had to think about a moment when you were resilient, what would that be for you?
I probably have to say going into the summer of 8th grade, you know, when my mom passed. Of course, she died of cancer, breast cancer, of course. I mean, so, you know, and at the time she died, you know, I really didn't know what was going on until later on. You know, it kind of, between her and my grandma, they kind of kept it like a secret. You know, they didn't really fill us in on everything. And it just happened like out of the blue. So in a matter of like, let's say like I'm going to say maybe like 2-3 months, you know what I'm saying, my mom was gone. And unfortunately, you know, like my grandma thought it was in the best interest of us, my sister, my brother, and myself to not be there while she was, you know, going through everything. So they kind of sent us away for the summer. But she was on bed rest, you know, and she, you know, when I got the news, I was out of town. So it was like the most heartbreaking thing, you know, like shit, me being a child, you know, not having a father figure, you know, it was all I had was my mom, and not being there when she passed, it was like a slap in the face. But I could understand why my grandma chose to do that, you know. But that was something I had to bounce back from, you know. It was a tough time because, like I say, I was 13 years old, my mom passed, so I had to, you know, everything that she taught me, or everything, you know, that I learned, and everything that she, you know, basically wanted me to become, you know, I had to make sure that I put my best foot forth and continued on with that success, you know, whether being respectful, staying smart, you know, doing the things that I knew I had to do, you know, just for her, because I knew she was watching down.
That's definitely a life-changing event that you had to step up and be resilient in. And I know that at the time you probably didn't even A, realize what resilience was, or B, realize that you were even being resilient. You ain't know, you just continue to push forward and operate in the best that you could in that circumstance, which is, like I said, what I think resilience is: making the best version of success during your adversities, being able to bounce back from something and not let it take you under. And I think I think our community does not talk about things like this enough, and which is why people encounter things that push them over the edge, and they may develop mental illness is because they're trying to keep everything inside so that they can present well. And by doing that, you don't allow yourself to truly be able to go through those emotions the way you should. So, because we're not taught to deal with emotions, we taught to survive. Back to what you said as far about slavery, you taught to survive. That's what slavery taught us, to survive. You were not taught to plan. We weren't taught to get ahead. We just had to survive to see the next day. And that's why I think we have that already built in resilience because of what our culture has had to go through. So if you were able to tell your 13-year-old self something, what would you tell your 13-year-old self?
I probably would tell my 13-year-old self. I actually tell him that I'm proud. It's a lot of stuff I wish I could change that I did back then. Like I go back. Because of course, when we get older, we learn a lot more. We look back and be like, damn, I wish I can go back and change that. And I'll probably be in a different situation. But for the most part, I'm like, man, you held it together for the most part. I don't think most people would have been able to deal with that and still been able to bounce back and become the person that they are today, dealing with that type of, like, I'm not saying I'm successful, but for the most part, I feel like, my mom is proud of the person that I've become, and, I'm proud of the person, I'm somewhat of the person that she wanted me to be, so. But I definitely tell my 13-year-old self that, hey, man, you did a damn good job holding it together, basically keeping the family together and, looking over your younger brothers and sisters.
Things that we had no business being into, but because we are leaders at heart and we are resilient, we were able to withstand and continue to press forward. Compared to somebody else, we did the best that we could with what we had, with no guidance. We didn't have guidance because our people were too busy worried about providing for us. Nobody sat down and said, well, let me show you the way. Nobody reached back and said, well, let me help you and guide you along this, that, and the other. They didn't, and it's not that they didn't want to or they couldn't, but they had to provide. So they had to keep their head above water because we were dependent on them. I pretty much feel like you learn to be resilient through adversities, and some of our adversities, like the adversities that we spoke on, are things that were not in our control, that we had nothing to do with it. We couldn't prevent it, we couldn't change it, we couldn't do anything about it. So those are adversities that weren't created, and we had to operate in those adversities that we didn't create in that way. So we've discussed moments where we were resilient and didn't know that we were even being resilient due to situations being out of our control, and we just had to deal with them as they came and make the best of it. Now, I can honestly say that there has been situations, instances in my life that I faced adversities that I created when I didn't know how to deal with things in an effective manner. And I guess it was more or less effective communication and allow things to build up. And then I acted in anger because all people see is your reaction at this point. I didn't allow that to break me, and I didn't allow that to be, oh no, people already think of me like this, so I just have to be this person. So I can honestly say that there has been things that I've done that caused my adversities. Can you reflect back on yourself and talk about how you were able to work through that?
Yeah, I had a situation, where I put myself in basically I had to be held accountable. It was something I did that I know I shouldn't have done. And of course, in the moment, you really not thinking about the consequences for sure. You just like, man, I'm gonna do it, gonna get it done, whatever comes with it, just come with it. But later on, after you sit and think about it, you like, damn, why did I do that? You know, like what was I thinking, or why wasn't I thinking before I did it? So, long story short, consequences came, and I had to deal with them. And so, at that moment, you just like, hey, like I said, accountability goes a long way. So I was like, I gotta take what was given to me, take what, cause I did it, and I learned from my mistake, and I was able to bounce back from it. Like it showed, like I said, it's go strengthen your character. It's go make you look at stuff a lot different. And like with me having kids, it was just something that I'm able to talk to them about and show them like, hey, this is the mistake your daddy made. Like I knew it was wrong, but at the same time, I still did it, and I took the consequences that was given to me, and I was able to bounce back, and I'm where I'm at now.
And that's resilient. Mm-hmm. I have learned to implement like a checks and balance system for myself, and I evaluate my checks and balance system daily, where I go back and I look and say, okay, Krisha, what have you done? What are you doing? And how productive was this for where you're trying to go? It really has helped me, and it's a tool that I picked up and learned later in life. Do you do something like that, or are you trying to do something like that?
That's definitely something I'm still working on. As I'm sitting here today, I'm still I mean, I still don't know what it is that I actually want to do, or for I mean, because one thing I'm sure is that I want to be the best parent that I can be to my kids, and that's off top. Like most black families don't grow with a father figure. I didn't have one growing up, and that's not a diss to my old man, but it's the truth. Reality. Yeah. So off top, off the muscle, I want to make sure that I'm that father figure that my boys and my little girl are able to look up for and realize, hey, I got my old man. I could talk to him about anything, or I'm always be there for them regardless of whatever's going on in the world. So, and I'm always be the same person whether I'm upset with them or I'm cheering for them. It's go always be love, and that basically like, and I'm always be like to my family, family, friends. I'ma still be the same person that's able to be helpful, because I feel like one thing I do know is that I'm one of the most helpful, caring people out here. Like, hey, if my people need me, I'm gonna make it happen. No questions asked. And so besides that, I can't really say where I want to go, but I mean, like those things that I know that I'm actually, yeah, for sure. To me, what I hear you saying is that you want to maintain your ability to be dependable and present for your family and all that you do and moving forward. That's what your goal is. For sure. As a parent, if I want to make sure that I prepare my children for life, the reality of life, because I want to know that if, God forbid, something was to happen to me, I can be like, you know what? I know they're going to think. I know they're going to make the best decisions. And I know that I have instilled in them the best things for them. And that's pretty much like, if I had to make sure that my lineage had to continue on, those are the things that I want to make sure that I don't care what they do, but I want them to always be aware, be intentional, be authentic, and always, if they got a problem, figure out a solution. Don't just sit there and say, oh, I got a problem. Woe me, who gonna help me? No, you get busy. You put yourself in an atmosphere where your problem could be solved. You use your resources. I don't care if your resources is your boss.
I don't care if your resource is your friend. I don't care what that resource may be. Use all your resources to help you make your problem a thing of the past. Traits that you would want to assure that will continue from generation to generation.
Oh yeah, for sure. You definitely want to make sure that you teach your kids, like, because I can't stress it enough that today and age is so different than when we grew up, and I always stress the fact that to my boys that you guys need to be leaders. Like, that's what I'm raising you guys to be, is leaders, and I'm gonna raise you guys to be independent. You guys don't need to depend on nobody except your parents. While you're young, and once you get old, I want you to be independent. But definitely, you got to be a leader. Because these kids nowadays are equipped with so much more than what we were given. And, school is so different. And it's totally different this day and age. And, they can get carried away or get lost in, whatever is going on. So I always stress the fact that, hey, you gotta be a leader. If your homeboys can't get with it, then it's time to find some new ones. Like, you really don't need friends, because all your friends don't have the same goals and ambitions as you do. And I know it's young, but I always make my boys. I got a little list, and it says 10 things that makes you a successful leader, and I make them read it every night and before they go to school. And they need to know that. And I ask them, do they have these qualities? And, they either say yeah or no. And then I ask them, well, what you got to do to get it? And a lot of those is just, you got to be born with it. But some of them you can learn along the way. You can build communication skills. Some people not born with being able to communicate. Some people just naturally shy. But, along the way you can, break out of that. So, and another thing I tell my boys is, being a king. I'm raising kings. I want y'all to be kings, because in this day and age with so much going on, with blacks still being frowned upon, and, I need them to realize that, hey, you're a king. It's nothing. These other people are not better than you. So don't ever think that, hey, you're able to do what just the same amount they are and more without being entitled. You a go getter. Go out and get it. You know what I'm saying? And your old man go support you 110% by far.
So I interpret what you're saying is you're teaching your sons to be intentional and to make sure that they are leaders. And I think that is absolutely awesome. And I think that they have to know that their intentions mean a lot, and leadership is a lot, that it can be very impactful in their lives, because without intention and leadership skills, they may end up in situations so where it's out of their control and our control as their parents, and the outcome won't be necessarily in their favor, because people already have a notion of who we are as people. And with us having sons, especially with our sons, we have to raise our children to be children, yet to have a thought process of making the best decision in life. So it kind of robs them of the carefree childhood. Is it fair? Maybe not. But I think it's one of the things, one of the reasons why we are as a culture more resilient, because Tommy just figured out, oh, this is life at 25, but we've been training our kids for life. So Chris, to do a quick recap of what we've talked about, you shared with everyone your resilience at a young age with the loss of your mom, and when you were unaware that you were even being resilient. Also that you shared that you experienced resilience when you became an adult, when you had to be accountable and face the consequences of whatever your actions were, but you did what you needed to do and you bounced back. And I am one person who can say that during your adversity, that you still continue to push forward. And I know that times may have been hard, and not may have been hard. I know that times were hard, but you continue to keep pushing forward, and that is very encouraging. It was encouraging for myself. I'm sure it was encouraging for anyone else who was around you. So I would like to again thank you for that. Thank you for being a resilient man. Thank you for always being dependable and being a person that was always present for us. So those goals that you're setting to always be in the midst of your success, I want to let you know that you are maintaining that, and you're doing an awesome job with your children, and my hat always goes off to you for that. So we gotta thank Chris for being open and honest, because honestly, I ain't really telling what he was walking into. I just said, I need you to come over here on this date, and I need to do this, and that's that. Real vague about the details, but as always, he came through. And then, Chris, you tell the people something.
Hey, shout out to Christian, man. Hey, y'all need to get with it or get rolled over. One of the coolest, realest people I ever met. Been down since like 7th grade, and we still rocking. But she ain't gonna do nothing but tell you what's real, and it ain't nothing but love.
So I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and tune in next week. Thanks. Oh, yeah. And don't forget to follow Resilient Visions on Instagram and Facebook. That's Resilient, RESILIENT VISIONS. That's on IG and Facebook.